Fine. So today's first topic is on whether do we need two-child policy in India. In fact, UP government has come up with it was being formulated. So do we need two-child policy in India?
According to me, India should go for a two-child policy because first of all, though we have such huge population, and even if we say we have such a good demographic dividend, it is not clear कि demographic dividend is directly proportional to development or growth, because most of our youth are not that skilled, and so maybe in the long run, if we go for a two-child policy, it will lead to a better and effective distribution of the resources. And even if we look at the family structure, how they are changing, and in this fast-moving life where both the parents are working, in these kinds of situations, if they have more than two children, they won't be able to give that much of time. So if they have just two children, they can give in quite some more time for those two children itself.
Okay. So you both are for pro two-child
Yes.
policy, and you both are for against two-child policy. Yeah. So I take your point. You are saying that because of the minimal resources available and so much of population we have, so it will lead to pressure on the resources, right? It will put more pressure on the resources. So we need to restrict ourselves to two-child.
Yeah.
And even parents can give individual attention to the children. By this, even the children will inculcate with some good values and skills.
Mm-hmm.
And we can take Bangladesh as an example, sir, by bringing this two-child policy. In Bangladesh, there has been a good outcome by implementing this policy.
Mm-hmm.
So it will be better for India if it goes for two-child policy, sir.
Okay. Arguments against two-child policy.
So for me, whatever they spoke, it's not that I don't agree with them, but I want to say that India is a democratic country. We have all rights. Family has rights to have how many ever children they have. So I can go with another example where China implemented this. Yeah, to an extent they were successful, but then later, even today, China is the most populous country in the world. So I debate for how country can use human resources with the limited natural resources and how we can develop on. Like they said, skilled. So yeah, government can work on skilling the people. Government can work on giving education. Government can work on everything that human needs. I go with that. We can see other Western developed countries where they're actually having problem with youth problem they have, because America is a country where they're finding they don't have youths. America is a country where older population is more than youth. So you can take that as an example. So in that way, yes, I agree. I don't want this policy to be implemented at least for now.
Okay.
What she told about the resource pressure, but there is a theory in ecology that the partitioning of the resources, but when you do the better partitioning of the resources will be available for everyone and in the context of their basic needs. And the second thing you told about that Bangladesh have two-child policy, but now you can see that the more migrants are influxing in India and they are not successful in their policy. Also, more migrants are coming from Bangladesh. And the second thing is for the two-child policy, you can see the more examples like in Japan. Also, you are seeing the older generation and more people are like the employment is available more, and the generation is not at the capacity to perform at their best, because the dependency of unemployed people on employment people is more. So in India there should be a policy to partition of the resources to do better human well-being, like that is inculcated in the DPSPs of our constitution, but not for the two-child policy, as it is against the democracy.
Okay. Anything else? So if I were to be asked the same question, I would have said, so two-child policy comes with a good intent of population control. But however, instead of a top-down approach, which can be seen as coercive in nature, for example, it can lead to female infanticide because of son made up preference. Especially in UP, since the policy was being formulated and discussed a lot, this was one of the major contentious issue. Then apart from that, it creates a distinction in the society itself. Incentivized and disincentivized people. Third thing is as they had mentioned, China, Japan, where the demographic dividend is of not at the optimum levels. That is basically they are moving out, they are becoming a older generation or population. So these are with the top down approach, this is what I can see. So what is the need of the hour would be a bottom-up approach where focus should be on the healthcare and education and more awareness on use of contraceptives and family planning. So that at the end of the day, it is the woman who is going to bear the child. So she is the one who has to, take that all informed decision. So that should be the way forward. And also, if you look at it, if you look at the southern states, right, the total TRF or TFR is around 1.7. So here we didn't have any policy as such, but it came with an informed decision. So that should be the way forward. And in a democratic setup, the government will not or should not have the power to decide how many children to have or whom to marry, whom not to marry, what to eat, what not to eat. So that should be the overall thought process when you answer such a question. Clear?
I want to add one point, said that our replacement level is at the level that we are about.
You can state the facts about replacement levels and you can argue as well.
Sir, our replacement levels are 2.1 and our total fertility rate is about 2.0, 2.1, and it's going like, so we don't need a two-child policy to bear on the people, and it will control ourselves from that. More information should be available from the government side, more communication should be made at the ground level. So, educated female will make the educated country.
Okay, fine. So the next topic is, do you think India is a poor country? So you both will argue for India is a poor country and you'll say you are against it.
So I can prove India is a poor country by saying we can look for the education pattern in India, how only few elite are educated and the rest of the population, I can tell you, they're not educated. When you take examples of wasting, stunting, malnutrition and things like that, India is still a country where it couldn't even reach in the top 100 list, top 50 of the World Health Organization's reports. So Bangladesh is doing better than us. Sri Lanka is doing better than us. So you can't anyway, we can't compare ourselves to the Western countries. So
If you have any counterpoints, you can counter.
yeah, given the fact that India is the richest country, which outside people believe, but we are not. As I said, primary healthcare is not reaching poor people. Forget about the secondary healthcare, but primary healthcare is not even reaching to rural India people. So in that way, you can take up the examples of banking also. Very recently, banking has actually reached rural India, not before that. In any way, India is a poor country because I'm taking into account all the aspects of this country and saying India is a poor country.
You can counter if you want to.
As she said, India is not a poor country, sir. And she mentioned that we have the poor health and health facilities and maternal mortality rate have increased. She said all those things. But according to the recent report, we have decreased the maternal mortality rate, infant mortality rate, and from the given international reports, we have come down with the 20 points, sir, in the health and even in the development report, human development report, and all those things. So India is a developing country and it is going to be one of the emerging economies, sir, in the upcoming days.
So can I counter again? Yeah, so he says he's comparing 20 points below we came and everything, but I'm comparing our nation to other Asian nations. So where we are comparing ourselves with countries like Bangladesh, with countries like Sri Lanka, which should not be done, because India is India is 7th largest country, and whatever it is, India should not be compared with Asian countries. At least India should be compared with other Western countries. That's what, because we are emerging economy, as he said. So we should compare ourselves with Western countries. That's what I feel.
Okay.
So, what they are doing, sir, first that they are comparing our country to others. To develop ourselves is to first to develop ourselves, then our country will develop. Not to compare with anyone is the best solution for our country now that I can think. That when we develop ourselves fully, when we practice the hygiene, when we practice the everything, like in Corona, we have impacted so much of things. So when we develop the individual person fully, then that country can develop. So I can be like, India is a poor country because the incentivizing government is incentivizing, there is no problem, but the parts of the sections of the people, like the backward classes, it's not going to the, I personally belong to the rural area and a marginalized area, but I can see there are people that they are not getting the benefits of the program, like that I can be telling about Janani Suraksha Yojana, that many children are not vaccinated for polio also. Yeah, I can say about the PDS distribution system, public distribution system. It is working there, but it's not at the up to the mark that it works on in the cities also. So what India is poor country. It's because that we should develop ourselves fully in the rate of if we develop our cities in the rate of 3%, then we should have to develop at least our rural population to 2.5%, so we can match the mark. So what India is doing, that it is developing our cities, it is developing the urban areas and related areas, but it's not developing where the India can grow actually. One of the major economists says from our MS Swaminathan that India can develop by the agriculture only. All the problems of India lies in the solution of the agriculture. If we solidify our agriculture, then many of the poorer things will be solved from the India. So it is the fact that India is now poor also, but we are, after you can see the impacts of a corona lockdown, that it happened for 1.5 year, but many people, like majority of the middle class income people got below the poverty line. So it's like that we are growing at a pace. He told that we are developing. I also want to India to be a developing economy, emerging economy in the next decade, and should be a stronger power. But we should do the things that we are developing and we are emerging as an economy. As individual, I can see that when you develop yourself fully, you can develop our economy.
Okay. Any counterpoints to that? And one thing that you need to understand is we are already an emerging nation. It's not like we are aspiring for it. We are aspiring for to becoming a developed nation. So yeah.
I definitely think India is not a poor country, and as these people are telling all those statistics of malnutrition or all the problems, I would say Rome was not built in a day. So after independence, we have come a long way. Today, if you compare India to like countries like Russia, US also, we are nowhere behind them. We are the third largest emerging country in the world in terms of space achievement and technology. We are like among the top 4 or 5 countries in this world. If you look in terms of within the country, in terms of startups, we have more than 100 unicorns. People are doing great business today. We have so many richest people of the world in India. They are Indians. So and even in terms of healthcare and education, we have come a long way. And if you consider the after COVID also, our economy rebounded so well. Even during the global financial crisis, India was a country which did not get affected so much. Even our merchandise exports, they have increased even after COVID. They are above the pre-COVID levels. So when you look at all these things, and even in terms of natural resources, when you look at India as a country, we are blessed with we are blessed with amazing natural resources. We don't have as such deficiency of any critical items for us. So we are very much self-sufficient, and even if you look at India as a regional power, the least developed countries, the developing countries in the South Asia and Asia region, they look up to India. So definitely India has its own heft. And in terms of economy, when you look within India, we have world-class infrastructures, we have metro cities. In software, we are like among the top countries in software services sectors. In pharma is such a developed sector in India. So if we look at all these criteria, you cannot say India is a poor country. India definitely is among the top contenders in the world to be the greatest power.
Good. Anything else? Yeah.
So you justified the certain section of people. Firstly, I'm not against that India is developing. Surely we have developed a world-class infrastructure. We have developed the cities. We have developed so much of things, and we are in the paving way. But you have justified a certain class of people. Do you know that how much farmer suicides are going on? How much the rural society is affecting? How much loans are there? We are like, I live in a rural society, so I know that a bit in the 100 people, 80 people are depending on the loans to do their work for agriculture, for their studies, and for their upbringing. So it is developing. I am not denying it. We are developing, and we are developing things in a good way. But the dividend should be distributed to all. you are justifying the certain class of people, that the certain class of people is going to the good hospitals, good infrastructure, they are enjoying metro cities or anything else. But you should think about the majority of people, that we can say that 70% of people, our population resides in villages. So you should have to think first about them, what they are doing, how incentivized they are getting, and what dividend they are getting from the our country.
He's right, maybe, but if you look at overall, I believe in America also there are poor people, there are slums. So within the country, whatever it is, bureaucratic hurdles or corruption, you cannot use it as a success to, say we are a poor country. We have enough of wealth, enough of human resource. Our youth are the most sought out engineers, doctors. They are, they are in demand the world over. We are able to produce such high, good talent and give it to the world. If you look up to the other countries like Iran, Saudi Arabia, these countries, Russia, they want to be good to India, they want to have a good relation with India. So this all just proves that we are a rich nation, we have that heft in the world order. So definitely, if we cannot take just because we have a certain section, but that is the internal, the issues that are present in every country. As I said, I believe in America also there are a lot of poor people, unemployed, slums. So that is going to be there. So what we need to look at is we have enough power, enough of wealth, so we cannot call ourselves poor.
I just want to add points. So like everybody telling here India is poor, India is not poor. But the point is, so when they say India is poor, it's because we're not able to utilize the natural resources properly. We're not able to implement the policies properly. So government policies, whatever the government is making policies, they're really good. Once if they're implemented in a proper manner, there is nothing poor or rich. So she said, like we have slums in Western countries also. Yes, every country has slums, but what government is doing to curb that, development of the slums. Slum dwelling is one thing that we have to work on. Secondly, like she said, okay, pharma. She said pharma, right? Like we're the most leading industry sector in the country. But how much are we dependent on China for that? So if China is not importing, if we are not importing from China, we will not even be able to produce generic medicines or whatever medicines. We won't be able to do that. So let's take manufacture sector. So India is not even a country where we are able to reach that manufacturing sector at all. So totally, I can tell you 100% of the things we are dependent on the other countries only. So India from agriculture has actually gone to a service sector where in between the manufacturing sector, which is not developed, and that is why India is a poor country. So like once government is deciding on how to develop this manufacturing sector, a lot of skill can happen, a lot of education can be given to people, a lot of gig economy can be actually overtaken with this. So once the gig economy is overtaken by like formal sector, this poor country, not poor as in like the growth can happen like naturally. Yes.
Anything else to add? Okay, I think we'll wind up. Okay, so we wind up. My argument would be we need to accept what is happening in India. So I would say 20 or 21% of Indian population lie below poverty line. But at the same time, we are the third largest growing economy in the world. And richness or poorness of a country does not depend only on the economic terms. We are a culturally rich country, a spiritually rich country. In terms of demographic dividend, we are a rich country. In terms of startups or whatnot, right? That goes on and on. So always when the question is like rich or poor, does not confine only to the economic and monetary aspect. Yeah, that's what. So we are rich in many other terms. So when I say you are rich, doesn't mean that monetarily you are rich. You can be monetarily rich. Apart from that, your character-wise, the number of people you are associated with. So all that defines the richness or poorness of a person. So that should be the overall thought process. Economic terms are fine, but culturally, spiritually, right? If you look at all the terms, we are much far better. Clear? So that, and you gave very good examples of space and all. So that those were very nice. Yeah, okay, we'll go to the next topic. Okay. So do you think India is a tolerant country? So you both will argue for India is an intolerant country, and you both will argue for India is a tolerant country. So let's start. But the thing is, don't get emotional. Be very objective when, especially this topic is taken, right? Because we are doing a UPSC discussion. Yeah.
First of all, I don't want to right out, I don't want to say we are intolerant. I want to say we are moving towards being an intolerant country, which is definitely not a good sign, because if you look at India, India has been a melting pot of cultures. We have accepted everyone has come here from outside, and they have, they have adjusted them, adapted to this culture. So but over a period of years, we know that communalism is a card, regionalism also. These are cards that are played to gain political brownie points, as we can say. So definitely I feel over the years we are becoming an intolerant society. Why I would say this is, as up till here there was nobody was concerned what we are wearing, the kind of dress code we are happening. All of a sudden there is a kind of consciousness, in terms of what people eat, what people are wearing, which fate do they follow. So this is not something, so I feel all of a sudden, if we are becoming conscious towards this is not a good sign. Because honestly, me, when I was growing up in my school, nobody bothered. I even didn't care who was belonging to which religion. I never knew which religion my friends were. So I can say ki all my friends were not of my community. So even then, it didn't occur to me at all. So all of a sudden, we are seeing the hijab issues, and these are like sensitive topics. But these, I feel, these are useless, because we need to focus on girls' education. We need to focus on more important topics like development and all, instead of focusing on what people eat or something. And even things like love jihad, there has been anti-conversion laws, there has been a lot of mob lynching. This is absurd. This is really absurd in such an emerging economy like India. People are being killed and targeted for what they eat. That is something really, I feel these are very personal things, very core things. What part of body I want to cover, it is my choice. It is not somebody else's prerogative that they can tell me. So even if you take the example of Karnataka, if I say, so in last few months we were seeing a ekdam surge of right-wing groups and all. But if you see, just after some time, there were talks about, investments are going away, and startups are moving away. It will affect the economy. So all of a sudden there was some sort of a full stop to that. So at the end, what matters is economy. These are all some just what do we say, certain things that are being used. If we look at from the time of this Nehru and all, I will say intolerance or these kind of things, I think in most, I will not say everybody, but in some people this is deep down within. This has been there, this always be there. I can say when there is when you are living with each other, many times clashes happen. So I feel this is certain feeling which is deep down in many people's heart. But if people are going to give air to that, these are certain evils that will come out, and they will spoil the peace of the society. So I think we need to stop this trend. So we are definitely moving towards becoming an intolerant country, and definitely we should not a majoritarian rule that should never be there. It is very lethal. It is very lethal, because one minority will be attacked once. When that is meted out, the other minority will come. So I think in geography we have learned that human beings are like, even if two people are on earth, they will also want to kill each other, and just one want to survive. So that is the human tendency. We should avoid it.
Okay.
More than countering her, I want to say India is a tolerant country from the beginning. So if you take India as an example, as a whole, India is a country emerged after independence. Even before ancient time, medieval time, modern time, whatever time, India was always been tolerant towards everything, economical, religion, especially religion, whatever food style you want to follow, yes, you can follow. Whatever dress style you want to follow, you can follow. India has always been a tolerant country. So let's take example of how India is a tolerant. We have accepted Western education. We've accepted McDonaldization. We have accepted everything from Western. Whatever that is good, we've accepted. In that case, Constitution itself talks about the fundamental rights, where it says minority has their own rights to set up their institutions, schools, language. Minority is not just minority of religion, but also about language, also about people. Ethnicity also is given a minority status. In that way, India has been open to all culture. In no way India is an intolerant country. It can never get intolerant also, because we follow democracy as a like core of the core. That is the core of the country. So India can't be an intolerant country.
You wants to count?
Yes, of course. As she said, India was a tolerant country even from the ancient times. My worry is in this 21st century, mainly the youth have become more intolerant, and they are. As we can see in Karnataka, there is a hijab crisis and even many mob lynching activities, and there has been increased in the ethnical clashes, communal clashes, and the main problem is in the youth today. Even they're totally biased, and even they're making these colors also based on the religion and the communal this thing. Orange means the Hindus, and so. I want to say that the youths are becoming more intolerant.
Sir, as they have stated the hijab controversy, it's we are not here to decide. It's a cup of tea of the judicial activism that they will decide what it's going on, and their specific scholars will decide that what it's going on and what they will be. Like they have talked about everything in the minority. So I can state that there is a world's minority Parsis living in our India. They are safe and they have guaranteed their rights. And she talked about that people can't decide what she wear, so it's given your fundamental rights. You are free to do your own affairs. You are free to practice your religion. You are free to propagate your religion. That is not provided in other constitutions, but in our constitution it is provided that you can your religious rights are provided. And apart from this, that people are only leaning towards the minority things. They are not leaning out the majoritarian. That, like, from the Hindus point of view, people criticize the Ramayana questions, Mahabharata questions. Okay, so they are like only minorities hurting from that point of view, or majority. See, there are certain sections in both groups. In every group there are certain section of people who are they want to kill each other, but you can't criticize 90% or 95% of people. They are good. I have seen, I travel a lot. I have seen a mandir, a masjid, and a Christian mission. So church, it's everywhere. It is there in Karnataka. I have seen the example. So I see on the social media that there is one temple beside it's a mosque, and everyone is practicing its religions. So if we are tolerant, then there should be one temple only or one mosque only. That are the examples. Like from the history perspective, I can talk about from the Maratha Swaraj. That in the Shivaji's army, some of the Muslims had fought for there. Then he wants to establish the Hindu Swaraj. It means that he wants to capture all the territories of India, not that Hindus all only reside. The Muslims also fought from his army, and they are like best of the commanders from there. So it's like we are not we are tolerant and we are not intolerant, because there are certain sections residing. And see, India is emerging community. You talk about development or everything, it's okay, but we are rich in cultural heritage. We are rich in the heritage of our old what our scriptures have told us. So everyone should follow there, and it is the government's responsibility to handle all these things. Now you can see in the UP, like their chief minister is handling it a very best. Then when everything when any occasion comes out, they handles like that no communal rights will happen. Like you can see in UP, like they are happening. I accept that communal rights are happening all over the India. You can see every day or every second day that communal rights are happening, but it's the government's responsibility to curb the communal rights. There's the best example is I can state the UP, that there is a side by side Navratri is also going on, and there are side by side Ramadan is also going on. People are happy with the decisions of government and are following rules and laws of the people. That's it.
Just adding on to his point, like he said, side by side Indian festival, Hindu festival and Muslim festival happening together. There's one very good example that happens in Karnataka, especially in Bangalore, called Bangalore Karga. So this Karga actually goes to a masjid, where it takes a round, that circumpath, whatever, 10 rounds it will take, and then go back to the temple. So in that way, like you said, you did not even know your friends which religion they belong to, because education gave you that. India taught you that. So you're already tolerant because India is tolerant. So that's how.
Yeah. That's a good one. Anyway, anything else? We'll wind up. Yeah. So, okay, this again, such questions where it deals with the social fabric of the society, or when it tests the fundamental nature of the country itself, I would try to balance it out. So I would definitely accept the reality, as she said, the in recent incidents being love jihad, or what do you say, moral policing or even hijab thing or mob lynching, all that. These are incidences which are sporadic in nature and isolated incidents. And it is also the responsibility, it is the fringe elements who are actually misusing it. And also social media is a bigger, culprit here, which has actually accelerated the issue. Clear? So, but at the same time, we are a tolerant country because there are many incidences like where festivals have been celebrated together. Indian government supporting Hajj pilgrimage, or recently even whatever happened in New Delhi. I think on recent Ram Navami, communities, people from both the communities took on a procession together. So all this tells that India is still a tolerant country. A few incidents like this should not give a complete picture that India is not a tolerant country. Clear?